The news today, 9 people have now been arrested after being accused of being involved in defrauding a fund that's meant to help farmers. In the end, 28 million rand was stolen. The fund meant to help farmers with machinery and funding. Jabu Mahlangu is the Mpumalanga Provincial President for the National African Farming Union. Jabu, good afternoon to you and thank you for your time. What were these people allegedly doing? How did this fraud work?
Stephen, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners of your station. I think it would be unfair not to start by wishing and sending our prayers to the victims of the floods in KZN. Coming back to the matter, indeed, we are very disappointed that the people who are assigned the responsibility to care and take care of farmers' interest took advantage of the situation. Well, I do not have the finer details as to how the whole thing occurred. Safe to say that we believe almost everything happened in secrecy, and we are very happy that finally the police and the Hawks have laid their hands on these culprits, and that's why our view as National African Farmers Union is that that board of trustees should be dissolved with immediate effect, and the Asset Forfeiture Unit should recover the losses from these culprits who have embezzled themselves from monies that were not meant for them, monies that were meant for beneficiaries who are farmers in Mpumalanga.
28 million rand. I mean, that set yourself up for life money. What could it do to help farmers in Mpumalanga? What kind of things could you do with 28 million rand?
Well, you are talking about up-and-coming farmers. 500,000 is quite a sizable amount of money. 1 million is indeed quite, it may not be a lot of money, but for the small farmers, it makes the difference. We know by now that small business is the biggest employer across the globe, and it's not different here. Farmers who actually would have access to 500,000, 1 million, would create jobs for other people, because it doesn't take a lot of investment for you, especially as a small farmer, to make monies out of the little that you have, but also to share that with your neighbors, your families, and create employment. So we are faced with unemployment in the province. We are faced with unemployment in the country. And indeed, for people who are entrusted with money to just seize the opportunity in a very secretive manner and benefit themselves out of this money, it's something that is unacceptable. Like we said, we are hoping that indeed these people will be displaced and that the police will deal with the matter. But at the same time, we believe that the vehicle, which is the trust that they are involved in, should be properly and appropriately repurposed, assisted by Agrisita, and that the government departments that were involved and whoever else was involved in funding this project should come closer to the situation and make sure that farmers of Mpumalanga benefit from what was supposed to belong to them, and indeed that appropriate people are placed to take charge of this vehicle so that our people benefit, but also that our people are able to participate in the greater opportunity that are presented by the African Charter to the Free Trade Union. I mean, we had the president today speaking to the president of Botswana, and all the discussions were about how South Africans can participate in the globe and in our continent. And these monies can go a very long way to help our farmers to be active in their fields and be in a position to access these opportunities, especially really after the demise that the farmers have suffered through COVID. And one would expect that indeed in KZN, farmers would be also worse affected by these things. So all these things that are coming our way have a huge impact on farmers. And that's why we believe that any loss to a farmer is a great loss.
Do you need more support as farmers in Mpumalanga, emerging farmers I'm talking about? I mean, part of Mpumalanga, I think, is in the maize belt. Maize prices are pretty high at the moment. You'd want to take advantage of what's happening on international food markets.
Indeed, farmers need a lot of help. Look, you need access to land. Not all farmers have got access to land, part of what we're advocating for as NAFU is that land should be available for farmers to till and to access. But you also have input costs into farming. Think about diesel, think about manure, chemicals and fertilizers. We know for now that the increase of prices as a result of the war between Ukraine and Russia is just unbearable for farmers. The input cost, which I've spoken about what you call the chemicals that farmers use, most of it are imported and some of it are coming from Russia. So with this war that we are facing, farmers are hugely, hugely affected. And indeed, we believe that a lot of help is required for farmers. We have a lot of young farmers, women farmers who are very eager to get into farming because the security, the food security that our people need, both in the province, in the country, as well in the globe, is dependent on farmers. Farmers, Mpumalanga is not only a maize farming territory. If you go to the lowveld where these heists actually occurred, most of them are dealing with citrus fruit. You have sugarcane and a host of other deciduous fruits that grow in that part of the world. So we are actually a food basket. Therefore, our view is that indeed the government and other entities internationally should actually come closer to what we are doing, especially for black farmers, young and upcoming farmers, women farmers, and disabled farmers, so that indeed we can achieve the objectives of making sure that there is food security both in the country as well as in the globe.
Jabu Mahlangu, thank you. The Provincial President in Mpumalanga for the National African Farmers Union. I really appreciate the time, sir.